From 2014, grooming children to die, political fights can be bruising and confusing, making people bitter and lowering expectations of political process. But one outrageous, totally unacceptable practice has been endorsed by one side of the political divide, and it is unacceptable from them. They must address the issue from their side and not oppose those who would address it from the community. The issue referred to is child abuse, more specifically, raising children to hate and kill. Such child abuse is soul-destroying. We have images of Palestinians marching for terror with kids, carrying toy guns. We have images of children's television shows in Palestine, with puppet characters glorifying suicide. We have local ISIS spokespeople claiming Jews are responsible for terror through mythical atrocities. We have pictures of children holding severed heads and declaring their love for some terrorist group. We have child soldiers in Burma, Cambodia, Africa, and the Middle East, except Israel. One common denominator is an excuse by the left of an imperative driving the behaviour. But there is no excuse for such damnation. It is child abuse. One hate preacher who has freedom in Australia has claimed he was taken out of context when he was quizzed over saying Jews are filthy rapists, and claimed he had limited his statement to specific ones whom had raped his sisters. One doesn't mind free speech so long as it can be acknowledged that a liar has lied. That hate preacher has lied and is lying. His sisters are safe but for being siblings to a terrorist. Junaid Thorne is free to say what he likes, but his child abuse deserves to be addressed, and his hate preaching contradicted. In Australia, rapes have been described as cultural to the Islamic community by Islamic community leaders impotent to address the needs of their community under a secular administration. ALP is not reformed. Waste is endemic to the ALP in Australia. The previous finance minister, Penny Wong, misplaced about $106 billion. Another sister, Natasha Stott-Despoja, as ambassador for girls, flies overseas in business class often so as to empower women. Ed note, NSD is not ALP but is left-wing. Nova Paris was party to a $445,000 allocation to identify Indigenous sports people, which overspent by $140,000. Among the expenditures was thousands given to an obscure West Indian athlete to give a talk. Yet the leader of the ALP will not pass cuts to spending and yet claims they could have had a surplus had they been given government. CFMEU likes to be investigated as part of corruption inquiry. The findings from a Royal Commission into Union Practices meant a 30-member joint federal Victorian Police task force can investigate the abuses. Victorian ALP are claiming that the investigation is close to the Victorian election. However, had they reformed as they had claimed, it would not be an issue. Police cannot time an investigation for political comfort. Did Nova lie in her autobiography about her heritage? A fact check of her ALP biography shows that she has lied about her parents' and grandparents' involvement in a stolen generation. Also, she is the fourth Aboriginal person to serve in an Australian Parliament, but the first female to do so. Her online biography has been amended to reflect that after it was flagged. ALP member Melissa Parks keeps company with bigots and might be in danger of transgressing anti-terror legislation for siding with BDS against Israel. She's entitled to her opinion, but that opinion should be defensible with reason, not bigotry and hatred. Jewish blood libel is not an argument, as it lacks substance. Wanting to be ALP? The ABC are confused by what the ALP are saying regarding Ebola. ALP want the government to order people into the zone without knowing how to extract them. If they fall ill, write to the ABC explaining to them what ALP policy is bad and the government's position is responsible. A balanced organization would see their mistake quickly. Greens fighting green policies have opposed a rise in petrol prices and an environmental policy. Why would anyone who cares about the environment vote green? Free speech under threat? The accusation is easy to make, as free speech is being under threat from ridiculous laws like 18C from racial vilification. However, the anti-terrorism legislation is not about restricting free speech, but locking up terrorists, and there is a world of difference between terrorism advocacy and free speech. A disagreement between people should not end in one cutting off the head of the other. Palmer withdrew the $10 million himself from Chinese companies. It's up to him to prove that he spent it appropriately, given the evidence he has not.